Good evening, folks. Welcome back. Another Wednesday night. We've obviously got Jeff Cook, so welcome back into my kitchen. Happy Wednesday. It's pretty chilly here in the Cape, so we've got a lovely little curry that's going to warm us up tonight. We're going to get some spice in there, loads of flavor. It's going to be super quick as well, nice and easy, very simple, on your plate in sort of the next half an hour, and you're going to be able to treat yourself to something nice and tasty. Good vegetable-based protein meal tonight. Black bean and lentil curry. Got a little bit of pumpkin that's going to go in there. Some baby spinach and some cauliflower. If you want to ramp it up with some extra fuel, you'll serve it with some rice. So I'll run through all of that in a little bit. So we've got a few minutes. It's nice and early, 7 or 8 minutes to shoot the breeze. Let me know who's here. Check in, say hello. Let me know how you guys are doing. How things have been going, how your prep has been. I know a lot of people were struggling with finding some black beans and lentils, but not a problem. I think all sorts of beans and things came through, which is fine. So any vegetable source of protein from the bean, chickpea, the legume family is cool. So let me know what you've got. I'm just trying to load up comments here and see how you guys are all doing. I've missed you. It's been since Friday night. I don't know how many of you were with us for our Christmas in July, but now we are into our fiercely feminine August. It's all about the lovely ladies in our life. There we go. Nikki, hello. Larissa Liebenberg, checking in. Remember, guys, collect your nutrition dots for tonight. Make sure you're putting it on the scoreboard. It doesn't count if you haven't checked in. Nikki's first live session. She's excited to join. Nikki, have you got your ingredients ready? Hopefully you're going to cook along with me. If not, watch and hopefully pick up some things to whip up later in the week. Obviously, Belinda, good evening from Hamburg, and she's ready for this as well. Coach Louis, nice one. Back in Shark Country up north. I hope you're doing well, boy. Bronnan, hello, Bobs. Another great veg option. Yes, the biggest pressure I ever get is putting some good vegetarian meals together. So hopefully we're finding a bit of a balance. But it also gives us a bit of flexibility. Obviously, one of the things we try and drive home is getting enough protein into our diet, but it doesn't always have to be animal-based. So super options here with some vegetable-based versions. And I'll talk through them and why black beans particularly are one of my favorites. And that's what we are whipping up tonight. Jodie, hello. How are you doing? Jolene, hi. Janine Whelan, hello. The Joneses, keeping up with the Joneses. Kim, good evening. Shani Meads is here. Really enjoying our sessions. It's fantastic. I love to hear that. Louise Bester, hello. Vandy Nell, hello to a favorite Jeff person. Lumpy Custard, thank you so much. Charlene says, thank you for another great vegetarian meal. The chickpea curry is a regular. So it is a nice one, super easy. If you haven't seen it, pop into the app, dial back. You can pick up all the old recipes. They're all in there. Loads more to come as well. Hopefully you guys are loving the app and all the developments that are coming in there. It makes, I think, just adds value. Michael Hardwick, hello. Kim Woodburn, good evening. Shelley Klumfas, also from KZ in St. Lucia, beautiful part of Natalvat up north. Simone, can't wait for another curry recipe. We have done a fair few. It's winter, so we need these flavors and spice in our life. So hopefully it's going to warm you guys up nicely. As we get into spring, our menu will change a little bit. We'll freshen things up, but for now, this is the kind of stuff that we need. Carmen, hello. Your favorite night of the week as well. It breaks it perfectly. Hump day, Wednesday is always a struggle. You got to get through it. You can see the finish line. The weekend is almost there and you're pushing through. It's quite often Wednesday night needs a little bit of this. What are you guys drinking? Lovely little Chardonnay here. Just going to go superbly with the curry. Marianne Adamson, hello. Lauren Spicer is their alternative to chickpeas if you're allergic. Yeah. So you can use some peas, some split peas, green peas even. You could get them into there. Any type of legume is okay. Any of those are going to be fine. You could also do this with some paneer, if you wanted to do something a little bit different. Some paneer would work quite nicely. I don't know if Storm ever watches these. One of the nicest curries we ever had was in our dinner club. We were all convinced it was chicken, and she had made some paneer from scratch. I'll always remember that meal. I think it's one of the firm favorites. So Storm, if you are watching, feel free to whip that up for us again. It was super. Lawrence, yeah, I got that. Nicole Kemster. It's always the vegetarians that get a good welcome, so it makes me happy doing these. Cheryl Ann, looking forward to a cool along. I know what you mean. Pat Govender, hello. Linda Milan, hello. Colleen LaRue. Mark and Colleen are cooking along from the cold Klein crew. It must be pretty chilly there at the moment. It's cold enough here. I don't like this stuff. Our fire's been going almost for 2 days now. Finally took jackets off inside, but not a fan of it. Nikki is a newbie. How do I collect the points? Just log your session. So click in through the app, put the date in there that you watched this, and you get your dot. So you can put your first nutrition dot up on the board, and we're doing more and more. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to grow a little bit more. We're going to have a few more sessions, try to get some things in a little bit more regularly for you through the Jeff Ed and our cook togethers. I'll let you in on a little secret for next Wednesday night, which is going to be fun as well. Tandine is here again. Hello. Tanya, nice to see you as always. A lot of familiar names and faces are checking in. Lynette Godfrey, hello. Melissa Webb was craving some veg today. Fantastic. So if you've had 2 days on the meat or animal-based proteins, let's break it up. Doesn't need to be a meat-free Monday. Let's do it on a Wednesday. The flexitarian approach to nutrition is, it's sustainable. It's a good way to go. I think we should all have better quality animal protein, smaller portions of it, and break it up with great things like this. So you can do some really tasty vegetarian meals to get you balanced through a week. The more plants, the better. Jessica's cooking from the Greater Karoo. Nice. So we've got a good Karoo representation here with us today. No lamb on the menu. Yeah, we haven't done lamb, actually, ever. It might be something we have to tick on. Passing through Beaufort West once, and we were having a dinner, and the guy who served us said there are 2 kinds of lamb chops, and you get one from the west of Beaufort West and one from the east, and they're completely different flavour. He said, luckily we've got 2 left from the west, and it was the most tasty lamb chops we'd ever had. So whatever they eat, the west of Beaufort West, it's a lot more flavourful than the east, but nothing beats some good Karoo lamb. Paolo, butternut, okay, as a substitute for pumpkin. If you're not afraid of a little bit of extra starch, that's fine. I'm using pumpkin just to keep this meal lower carb. We're getting most of our carbs from our protein options, but you're not worried about it, use butternut. So pumpkin is just the low carb version of it. Stu and Ren Bossinger are ready to go. Nikki, hello. Kathy Downs, lovely to see you all again. Alison Harrison is excited. Good evening, good evening. Cindy Dos Santos, looking forward to this. Doesn't cook vegetarian. So it's one of those things I don't think if we give it a try, we never really know what we can do in that space. And it's really easy. It cooks a lot quicker, particularly here. I mean, most of the stuff's ready to eat as it is. So we just whipping it together and putting some flavor in it. It's going to really go. All right. So Beverly Paulson, who is the queen of, I don't know what you call them, little images in the replies on Jeff Together. I always get a notification. Beverly Paulson has commented, and you've got some cool guns or high fives. So I always look forward to the little pics that you post as a reply. They're epic. Catherine Herman says the girls are in charge. If you're in bed, nice warm cozy bed, make sure the girls are looking after you, Kat. Carla loves these school sessions. This will be Friday supper. Brilliant. Michelle Rogers said hello. All right, so a quick run through of ingredients before we get cooking. Not a lot to do, but if you haven't prepped and chopped and done a few things, just 1 or 2 things to do. So let me run you through them. We have tinned black beans. So we've got 2 protein sources here, some lentils and some black beans. Now both of them are tinned. So they are ready cooked. I've just rinsed them off. Black beans are one of my favorite plant-based proteins because they're slightly higher in protein than the other beans and legumes and whatnot, and a very good source of fiber, and they taste great. They go into all sorts of different things and it's fantastic. Lentils, great source of protein and fiber as well. So obviously everyone who watches this regularly knows my mantra: protein, fiber and fat. That's what balances a meal. We've got protein and fiber just in those both. If you're someone who doesn't tolerate legumes, you might find that tinned ones are actually a little bit better. It's the fermentable carbohydrates in here that sometimes don't sit so well in the tummy, but when you rinse off the water, you lose a lot of that. So if you rinse them well, soak in for a minute or two, get rid of that water, you might find that you tolerate these things better than just the dried version or it comes straight out of the tin. So we've got a tin of lentils, a tin of black beans, got about 3 cups of some baby spinach, any leafy greens, some kale or pak choy or anything will be fine. Got some grated cauliflower. Different ways that we can use this depending on what you want to do today. If you are using some rice, get your rice on the boil, but I'm keeping this low carb, so you're using some cauliflower. Some diced pumpkin, so just over a cup. I've cut them nice and small, just so that they cook quickly. So remember, we're all about getting this on the plate, keeping the evening nice and quick and clear. So the smaller you chop stuff, the quicker it's going to cook. Got 1 sliced red onion. We've got 2 minced cloves of garlic. We've got a nice little blend of some curry powders. You can use curry paste, whatever you feel like. I've got some garam masala and some korma mix. So whatever you want to go with. If you want some heat in there, you can get some extra chili powder. This one's not going to be that hot. Sindine's extra special curry powder looks great. I've got some salt, some tinned tomatoes. I use whole tomatoes. They're just slightly better quality than the chopped ones. You can always make these into anything you want. So if you want a puree, you can stick them through a blender. If you want them finely diced, whatever, but just get a better quality tomato and some better flavor out of the whole ones. You can do what you want with them. And then some light coconut milk. All right, so much less fat content. Woolies tells us there's 58% less fat in that than the regular one, so you can use a little bit more of it without the calories, which is cool. And wasn't on the menu or on the ingredients, but I've just got a lemon because everything needs a little bit of acid when you finish cooking. Okay, so that's it. Super simple. Let me know if you've got any questions. And all we're going to do is start heating up a pan. And I'm going to check and see how you guys are doing. All right, and the head chef is back from sorting out the kids.
Hello, everyone.
There she is. My fiercely feminine wife, who's ready to crack a whip. Carla says, whoop whoop, loves these cool sessions. Nice. You guys all up to date? If you have packet lentils, must you cook them first? Yes. Yes. If you've got the red lentils, they'll cook quickly, so you won't have to worry too much about them. If you've got brown lentils, you need to boil them first. They just take a little bit longer to cook. But if you've got the packet red one, give them a good rinse quickly, get rid of the little grits and whatnot. And they should be able to cook pretty quickly with this. Might just leave it a little bit longer, but it's not the end of the world. I've got brown tinned ones because they're pre-cooked and it's just going to be quicker. Bob says, hello, Gabby.
Hello, Bob. Hello, Kimmy. Hello, Gary.
The Joneses are all there.
Okay, well.
Yeah, so we've got a pan just heating up. I'll take you to it in a second. And pop a little bit of oil in it. So I'm using coconut oil to take you around to the action. There you go. That's one. Okay, so we've got 2 teaspoons of oil, I reckon. So vegetarian meals typically are lighter in fat. You don't have the fat content from your animal protein. So a little cooking oil in there is going to give us our fat, and then our coconut oil, our coconut milk, going to give us a little bit. So that's our fat portion in the meal. We just heating the oil in the pan. We're going to get that to sort of a medium heat and pop in our onions and our curry powder. Okay. Petrus has some basmati rice going. Cool. Jen, hello. How is Peter Maritzburg treating you? I miss you. Carla, if you use a tin of whole tomatoes in a box session on a Thursday, exactly, brilliant. So you do John O'Series session with the tins, and you give them a good shake around, and you go from whole tomatoes to pureed in half an hour. Brilliant. So manpower. Cool. So the chef has said she is putting onions and curry powder. So get your curry powder in at the beginning, so you can cook through some of those flavors. You release some of the natural oils in there, and you're just going to get a better flavor profile from getting the curry in right at the beginning. So nice sliced red onions. Already start to smell it, and it smells fantastic. Nonhlanhla, hello. How's Eswatini treating you? My mother grew up in Swaziland. We spent some good holidays around there. Grandparents owned a granadilla farm, and haven't been back there in years. Yes, Alison, pumpkin has less carbs than butternut, so we'd class it as part of your non-starchy veg. So nice way when you're making some soups or doing something like this, an easy sub, instead of getting the butternut, if you want to control your carb or calorie content, get the pumpkin instead. Get loads of good flavor. Mildred says the heat is on. So we've just got our onions and our curry powder and all of the crew. Say hello. That's Harrison. Izzy, you want to say hello too? There we go. Hello. Now getting their jelly pudding, if not one. While our onions and curry powder just cooks up. Then we're going to add our butternut, so it gets a nice, our pumpkin. So it picks up a lot of those flavors and just starts to caramelize it a little bit, so you get a little bit better flavor in it. So chuck your pumpkin in there with your curry powder and your onions. Jen says PMB is chilly. But you guys had some good hot weather the other day. Catherine says girls came home with 2.5 kilos of spinach. So that's going to cook down into that much. The beauty of spinach, you start with that much and it ends like that. So it'll become nothing before you know it. But maybe tomorrow morning's breakfast. Good way. Baby spinach doesn't carry a lot of flavor, so it's cool to get into a smoothie and get some greens in without really tasting it. Or just wilt it down, put it in, you can freeze it, put it in ice cubes. You've got little frozen sort of cubes of spinach. You can always add it to a smoothie in the morning or pop it in a soup or a stew or something just to get some greens in. Kim's onions and curries smelling good. As an advantage to red onions, no, brown's fine. It's just slightly different flavor profile and color really, but health-wise they're both super. A nice source of some immune boosting things. As much as I hate the term immune boosting, I've just used it. Jen, how much curry powder? Don't be afraid. So at least a tablespoon. I always find the more the better though. So this is going to serve 2. So there's a nice sort of big tablespoon in there. Tandeka, yes, we are live now. What can you use instead of pumpkin? So if you're not worried about the sort of starchy content of it, you can use some butternut, you can use some carrots, will go fine in there. You could use some other non-starchy veggies like some leeks, would be pretty cool. They'll work in there. Anything like that's fine. If you don't have them, not the end of the world. We've got lots of veg going in here. We've still got cauliflower, we've got spinach, so we're definitely ticking all the veg boxes. Can you pre-cook your pumpkin? Yep, you can if you want to. Pop it in a microwave safe bowl, put a little cling film over, stick it in there for 5 minutes just so it gets a little bit soft, and you can just pop it in to pick up the flavors as it goes. Right. So that's smelling really good. We're going to add the garlic to it now. So 2 cloves of finely minced garlic. Just
That's fine then.
yeah, I was a little bit lazy. She's giving me grief. So hopefully yours is a bit more fine than this, but I'm not afraid of garlic in chunks. So we're just layering some flavors. We've got the onions, we've got the curry powder, a little bit of sweetness from the pumpkin, and another aromatic there with the garlic now. Marion is smelling, your kitchen is smelling fragrant. Simon and Wendy from PMB as well. Fantastic. The Francises are in the house. Daddy, well done. You've converted there. Sandine needs a bigger pan. So a couple of things that you need in the kitchen. Big pan, a small pan, a nice big pot, a sharp knife, and that'll kind of, 2 knives, sharp knife, and my next favorite one's a Victorinox. You get by with pretty much everything that way. I'll do a session on kind of your, I reckon I could put it to 7 or 8 kitchen must-haves. Marie is a bit behind. Can I add extra veg? Please do. So, you can always add extra veg. So, more health, more flavor. Don't be afraid. Pile it in. If you're on a one-on-one program, it's the one part of the plan that's sort of free. You stick to your portions with your protein and your starch and your fat. Go a little bit more on the veg, so don't be afraid. Okay. Tandeka just doesn't like pumpkin. Cool, swap it out. I will never tell anyone to eat something that they don't like. So if you don't like it, there's plenty of other options out there. So that's going nicely. All right. So in there, just a quick recap. We've got our onion, our garlic, onion and garlic. We've got our curry powder. We've got our pumpkin, and it's just cooking away. All right, so we're just getting a little bit of flavor onto the pumpkin before we go to the next step. Cool. Which is going to be tomatoes. So the one thing about tinned tomatoes, you want to cook them out a little bit. I just pick up the sort of metallic taste of a tin quite quickly. If you've got boxed tomatoes, it's a little bit easier. But get them in there so you can start cooking them out. Yeah. Tin tomatoes are going in. Cool. Samantha loves the idea for Jeff Ed must-have items in the kitchen. Let's do it. The things that just make your life easier. You create the environment. If you've got a fridge that's stocked, a pantry that's got the right things, and you've got some utensils, it makes life easier. There's nothing worse than trying to get into cooking and you've got a blunt knife and you're hating life because you can't get through an onion and you're trying to slice a tomato and it's squirting you in the face and life's just terrible. So there are a few things that just make life easier and you can actually enjoy a little bit of time in the kitchen. It's not stressful, and equipment is one of them. So let's do that. Right, how are you guys doing? Any other beans instead of black beans? So red kidney beans, some chickpeas will work. Some split peas will work. Anything like that is totally fine. So tomatoes are in, and we're going to add those too. So reminder, we've got a tin of black beans in our black sheep bowl. Pop those in. And we've got a tin of brown lentils. If you've got packets raw red lentils, chuck them in now. You might just need to add a little bit more liquid to this because the red lentils will soak up some liquid. So Tanya, I think that was you. Once we've added the coconut milk, you might just need to add a little bit more stock or some water or something. Marion says the WhatsApp group is full, which is good. But there's a second group, so we'll put someone onto that. So Marion, you can get on the Jeff Cook WhatsApp group. Yeah, butter beans would work nicely, give you a little bit of sweetness as well, so a little bit sweeter than other beans, which is lacquer. We've used butter beans in a few things recently. I really enjoy them. They're nice texture, slightly bigger, which is great. It'll give some nice color into here as well, something that sort of contrasts with everything else. It's great. So, quick recap, everything's in there: the onions, the curry powder, the garlic, the tomatoes, and whatever your bean mixes that you've got are. All right. Thank you, Sarah. Going to send Marion a link to get on. And we're going to pop open coconut milk. Right, so some light coconut milk because we want all the flavor, but we don't want the high fat content of normal coconut milk. So keep it nice and tight. And Gria's licking her lips as well already. Loves a little bit of coconut as much as she loves her wine. Cheers.
I wouldn't say that.
Second best. Cindine's on track and smelling good. I haven't seen anyone having any wine, so well done. All of our one-on-one clients are keeping it on track for the week, saving it for the weekend. Alfred, do you add salt? We will. Yeah, so we're going to season it in a second. Quinoa would also be nice in this. Yes, it would. Slightly lower protein than your beans, but in terms of the grains of the world, quinoa is going to give you a little bit more protein than some rice wheat or something else. So it would be a good option. Give you a nice texture. Marion says the Jeff Ed WhatsApp group. It's cool. Cool. So someone will send you the link for that now, Marion. Alternatives to onion and garlic if you're allergic to them. So what you can do is you can flavor some oil with them. So it depends. If it's an allergy or an intolerance, if it's an allergy, you can just kind of flavor it up with some spices and go a little bit heavier on the spices. If it's an intolerance and you struggle with bloating because of things like garlic and onion, it's the carbohydrates in there that causes that. And what you can do is flavor some oil so you get all the flavor out of it, and then toss it in so you don't actually consume any of the carbohydrate that stays in there. It doesn't dissolve into the oil. I've given the facts for the day. Yeah. So tick that box. So that's something you can do. Otherwise, load up your curry spices. You can maybe get some leeks and carrots in there just to give it a bit more flavor and a bit more structure to it that day. How many mils of coconut milk? We banged the whole tin in there. So 300 and something, I reckon. 400 mils. 400 mils of coconut milk. Liza, good evening. Master Jeff is a bit late, so trying to catch up. So let me give you a quick recap. If anyone needs to catch up for a second, we're just going to simmer away and get the flavors going there. To be honest, it's pretty much almost ready to eat, so you might as well chat for a few minutes. If your rice is cooking, make sure you just check on that. So we started with our onion. A little bit of oil. We used some coconut oil, unflavored, just goes nicely with this. There's no flavor that we wanted from that. Fried off our onions for a couple minutes and added our curry powder, whatever mix or curry paste or anything that you quite enjoy. At least a good heaped tablespoon of that. After that went our pumpkin to pick up a lot of those flavors and just caramelize a little bit, get a nice sort of complexity there and a little bit of color. Then we added our garlic, just cook that for another minute or two, a little bit translucent. Added our tomatoes, added our coconut milk and our beans, peas, whatever you ended up being able to find. So we used some lentils and black beans, and that's all in there. Bev?
Salt.
Taste. So stop and taste. I don't think we've actually chatted about this in any of our cooks, but the difference between people who put stuff that's well balanced on the plate, flavor wise, and don't is tasting. So many people are afraid to taste and might just bang in some salt or pepper and kind of go a bit heavy on it, but don't be afraid to taste every step of the way. Just little taste. It's going to need some salt because there's no seasoning in there, there's no stock in there, so give it a little sort of seasoning. We're just tasting it. How's it taste?
Salt.
Salt. So a little bit of salt. I'm not going to use pepper. If you want to use some pepper, that's totally fine. Beverly, what can she use in place of coconut milk? You can just use some stock if you want to keep it sort of very light. You can use some yogurt if you want some dairy in there to give it just a little bit of creaminess. Will be cool. So just depends. You just want some liquid in there. So flavored liquid of your choice. I'm using coconut milk. Alfred, yours are done. What's done, Alfred? Your whole dish done. I hope someone posted today. They already popped this out, I think, either for lunch today or dinner last night. So jumping the gun, but I hope it tastes good. Alfred, whatever's done, I hope it tastes good. This is a lot of food, Jen. It is. It does smell great. So it should fill you up. Loads of fiber in there. Plenty of flavor. We might have been a little bit generous with serving too. You'll be able to get a little bit of leftover tomorrow night, which is great. So pop that on, sort of add a little bit of extra liquid tomorrow. You can make some soup out of it. It'll be quite nice. It's a little bit big. Totally cool. Larissa's is looking and smelling delicious. If it's too watery, just cook it off for a while. So I did have an optional nutritional yeast. If you've got, let me know if you've got some nutritional yeast. So a minute to kind of, well, there's still some more things in there that will thicken it up. But what we're going to do at the next step, I'm going to pop the cauliflower in there. I just couldn't really be bothered to fry it off into some cauli rice. I don't really mind. I'm going to pop it in there. It's going to thicken it up. If you've got your own rice cooking on the side, you'll pop your cauli in there as well. That will thicken it, and when the spinach goes in as well, it will. The beauty about nutritional yeast, fantastic. It's going to give a little bit of a sort of umami flavor, a little bit of savory sort of hint to it. It increases the protein content, so nutritional yeast is pretty much protein, packed with B vitamins, and it's going to thicken it nicely. So fantastic way to balance a dish out from, if you are purely vegan particularly, there's some things you'll get in nutritional yeast you might miss out elsewhere in the sort of B vitamin family. So you can get loads of flavor, you can thicken it up. It's a nice thing to add to some soups as well. You know, if you're not having cheese, you can get a little bit of sort of cheesiness flavor to it, which is quite lekker, and it's going to thicken that up. So otherwise, just simmer it for a minute or two, and it'll thicken as you go. Right, Gregory, spinach and cauli isn't in yet. No, it's not. So that's going to cook in the blink of an eye. So we're getting some bowls to serve, and just check your pumpkin. If your pumpkin is soft, or your butternut, or whatever it is, then you're ready to kind of go. So do you want to check your pumpkin?
Yeah.
Because we cut it nice and small, should be close to being ready. You want a little bit of texture? Looks all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Another minute or two. When it cooks with everything else, is going to be fine. Nice flavor. I had some garam masala in my curry mix, so it was really lekker. Jen's cooking for 2 or 3 days. The way to do it, guys. Plan, prep, do a little bit extra, and you can carry over for the next day. So this will be great for lunch next day. Alfred was the one who said pop the photo earlier. And his wife finished it off already. Very tasty, fantastic. That's what I like to hear. Sindine, yeah, useful for lunches and to freeze. Jody, what's the purpose of the nutritional yeast? I assume that was just before my minute monologue on nutritional yeast. So if you've got it, we're going to pop it in now with the cauliflower. Right, so that's going to go in. Our grated cauliflower. So we said about a cup, which can go in. I'll give you that was a small head of cauliflower that grated into about 2 cups. That's going to cook away to not a lot anyway. So give it a good stir. Marion, where do you buy the yeast? So you can get it from the sort of health aisle in most Pimpays or Checkers or something. Otherwise, pop into Dis-Chem or Wellness Warehouse. Typical sort of health brands will have a nutritional yeast where you get all the other almond flours and those sorts of odds in it. Nutritional yeast is very different to packet dry yeast. Yes, so it doesn't act in the same way at all. So you can't bake with it in the same way. So I wouldn't recommend putting your sourdough starter in the kiln. I'd actually just leave it. You don't need it. So the cauliflower is going to thicken it up a little bit. If you're vegan or vegetarian, it's a nice way to get a good sort of functional food in, but otherwise don't stress. If you really want a sort of an extra flavor in, you could do something like some Parmesan cheese, but actually I'll just leave it. Don't worry about it. Some bean, yes, we added the beans and lentils when we added the tomatoes. So tomatoes went in, doesn't matter, they cooked. So if you haven't popped them in, chuck them in now. They just need to heat up and they'll be fine to go. Where can I find black beans and tins of lentils? 3 shops. So I got mine at Woolies today. Black beans are normally sometimes the hard ones, which is the pity, but Woolies had them all. So they had some lentils and black beans and all sorts of things. Spa's normally pretty good with black beans. Cool.
Yeah.
Apparently it's looking good. So bang in your spinach. So we've got 3 cups of baby spinach that's going to go in there. And that's just going to wilt down. We're going to check for seasoning again. It might need a little bit more salt. We've added a few more things in there that's obviously weren't flavored or seasoned. So taste it, have a little salt. If you feel like some pepper, that's cool. If you like some chili, chuck that in. We've got some chili oil that might drizzle over the top at the end. Wendy says it tastes delicious. Fantastic. All right, Cindy says thank you. Only a pleasure. Georgie, nutritional yeast at Spa in the Health Hour. Exactly. Sarah Tar, hello. How are you doing? All right, guys. How's everyone going? We're looking pretty good. The colors look amazing. How good does that look? Vibrant, cool, full of flavor, full of aroma. And to finish it off, a little bit of acid always goes a long way. So if you've got a little bit of vinegar, it might work nicely. White wine, vinegar would work well, or squeeze over lemon like we are. It just brings all the different flavor components together quite nicely. Ismarie says Thai curry fish sauce and lime juice are great add-ins. There we go. Perfect. Petrus looks and smells good. It does indeed. So, you tasted it?
Yeah, no.
Taste, Izzy, what's wrong? There we go. How are we looking? Yeah. That was great. A little bit of lemon at the end. Really nice. Might just finish it with a little bit of salt. If you've got some coriander and you want to pop it on once we serve, that's cool. Just chop it up. But I think everything's kind of ready there. So we're going to turn off the heat. It's hot. Let it sit and just thicken for a minute, and we're going to plate up, and it's going to be ready to go. How are you guys doing? Anyone need a little recap on anything? Nikki says it looks delicious. It does. Petrus is a master chef. I don't think you've missed one of these. So he's going to post some pics for us later. Bundy, aroma and colours. Leftover for lunch for Sally. Marion Adamson. Wow. Cool. Yes. So guys, remember, plate it up and post it. We want to see it on Jeff together. Let us know how it tastes, how it looks like. We're going to plate ours up quickly and show you the finished product.
All right.
Loads of great colours going on there. Rio wants coriander leaves. It should thicken up nicely now that you've got the cauliflower and spinach in there. So, there we go. So that's how we look. Light's not great, but you can get the picture. Loads of flavor. I can smell it. It smells superb. You've got the greens and reds, and one way to always evaluate your meal, apart from our protein, fiber, and fat, is how many calories you can get into it. So, ticking off the rainbow. Lots going on there. Loads of good nutrition, good plant-based protein that kind of drives it home. Source of fat from our coconut milk. If you weren't using coconut milk, just try to get some fat somewhere else. Maybe a couple sort of almonds over it at the end will be great, just so that you've got your source of fat. And then we've got our cauli sort of rice. If you're serving with some rice, cool. Or our protein flatbreads, go check out that recipe. It'd be a nice one to plate up with as well. Let it cool down for a minute. You can see the steam coming off. Burnt my tongue a little bit, so we'll give it a minute, and I'm pretty sure it's going to taste great. Season at the end if you need to. Just finish it off. Pleasure, Sarah. Nice to see your name. It's been a while. Leslie's going to watch it a little bit later. Any last questions, guys? Never cooked like this, Larissa. Fantastic. So it's what we're about. Next, I'm going to drop next Wednesday's cook is a fun one. I offered to pop into Seri's kitchen with her. So next Wednesday, we're going to be there. And I tasked her with giving me her favorite meals so we could Jefferize it. She sets a fairly difficult challenge. So look out for what next Wednesday is going to be. But I think we've worked out a good way to make it a good balanced meal. I'm going to be with Seri, cooking along. She's going to be the head chef. She might put me to work, so let's see. But hopefully you guys will tune in with us next Wednesday for a little bit of fun in the Queen of Darkness kitchen. Let's see how it goes. So post your pics, guys. Really looking forward to seeing what it all turns out like. Margaret, we added the cauliflower right at the end. It's going to cook super quickly, so just stir it through once you've got your coconut milk and your tomato and your beans and everything in there. Cauliflower and your baby spinach. Just let it thicken and it's going to be ready to go. Just want to make sure I haven't missed anyone. Jessica, it's only a pleasure. Sandine, it is easy peasy. Kim, only a pleasure. Fantastic, guys. As always, it's been a great Wednesday night with you all. There we go. Got an empty bowl of chili. I'm sure that wants to be filled up. So post your pics, guys. Let us know how it tastes. Really interested to see what you think of this one. Join us next week for some fun with Seri in the kitchen. And we'll also be Monday, Chef Ed. We'll be doing some smoothies next week, running through. Oh no, we don't have. Monday's a public holiday. So we've got our Monday workouts. Make sure you're joining Monday morning. Got a fantastic workout lined up, and it's a long weekend. Isn't that going to be a little bit of fun? So earn it this week, get your behaviors in, get your points, tally up all your dots, make sure you're putting in a little extra, nice, tight, lean meals like these, and save a little glass of wine for the weekend so that you can cherish it and enjoy it. Go hard over the weekend, train nice and hard, and we will see you guys all on the other side next week. It's been real. Cheers, guys.